And we are off.
We're in.
Inaugural episode of the Pick Up Your Pace podcast. I am your host, Ryan Kelly. For the sake of the pod, you guys will call me Kel. I am joined by Hoove and Sir Lisa, who, for the sake of the pod, we are going to be calling Chip.
Yes,
we
sir.
are three guys who last weekend decided we wanted to start a podcast. None of us have a podcast before. We have no media background whatsoever. We are just diehard F1 fans. We're not going to tell you guys that we've been F1 fans since we were kids. We've been F1 fans since Netflix decided to drop Formula One Drive to Survive.
That's a fact.
I've been watching it, but I would say, and I think we can all agree, last year was probably the first year that we were all in. We watched every single race for the most part.
Yep.
We watched fall, we watched practice, but we're never going to tell you guys that we are Formula One savants. We are three idiots here to give you hot takes, here to have some fun, maybe talk a little bit of gambling, and make the casual fan. I hear a lot of people say, you know, Red Bull and Mercedes is winning every week. What's the point of watching a race? There's a lot of cool shit going on, guys.
It's a lot.
You got to look out for the midfield. You got to know the storylines. So hopefully we can give you guys on a weekly basis, race to race, 10 to 15 minutes about the 3 to 5 things to watch, keep you updated, keep you engaged, make the sport a little fun for the casual fan who probably, like us, if you're in America, just watches the show. So here we go. We're going to drive later. I'll pass it over to Chip and Hoove. You guys can give me your little bit of blurb, and then we'll hop right into some Drive to Survive reactions. That's where it all started, so let's start there.
Yes, sir. I mean, listen, I think you said it all. You know, I mean, this all comes and boils down to, you know, this is blowing up in America. This is getting bigger and bigger by the day. Soccer hasn't seemed to do it. F1, because of Netflix, is starting to blow up here. So I think it's an opportunity for, you know, I think there's a lot of us out there. I really do. I personally believe that we're going on millions at some point here. It's going to become that in the United States.
Hopefully we're not living in our own bubble, Chip. Hopefully we're not living in our bubble.
Exactly. Listen, so, you know, I'm excited to do this. Like you said, we're no major experts, but listen, it's going to be fun. Ready to go.
We come from a place where it's not huge. We're from the Northeast in America. It's just not something anybody cares about. You get the watered down version, the little taste with the Netflix, and then you just watch it and you get it. And you watch it like NBA, you watch like football, you read about it, you pick up the storylines, and it's cool. So we hope you guys think it's cool too.
Amen.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's have some fun. We'll talk about a little bit of gambling. We'll try and keep things tight for you guys. I know you're not going to watch 5 hours of YouTube videos every week like you do. So we'll try and sum it up in about 10 to 15 minutes here. But let's hop right into season 3, Drive to Survive. I think we'll start what stood out to me as the biggest storyline. Mercedes DAS system. I think it was the biggest storyline throughout the whole season, to be honest. Maybe you could make a case that would be Racing Point stealing the Mercedes. But I think what stood out to me would be the Mercedes DAS system, and we'll get into a little bit more about how that's going to affect the upcoming season.
Yes. Yeah.
I definitely agree there.
Yeah, go ahead, Hoove.
I was just going to say, I think, you know, sometimes with the show, I'm not plugged in, I'm about to die. You kind of get the fake storylines. That's maybe why we didn't, I don't want to spoil anything, but maybe that's why we didn't see certain people because they didn't want to be in it this year. But you do have those actual talking points that you saw outside of the show, like the pink Mercedes or the DAS system, which we didn't see how it worked until the show, which I thought was pretty cool. Scary as shit too. You got to push on the wheel. Ugh.
Dude, that's terrifying. I know that shot behind the driver when they first showed that, I was blown away. I was like, really? Like, just the fact that you have to actually operate DAS that way is like terrifying. You're going 200 miles an hour down the straight or whatever, coming into a turn. But dude, I got to tell you what, man, nothing frustrated me more than seeing people with the whole, oh, this is the pink Mercedes thing. Like, I mean, listen, DAS, yes, personally, I'm very curious to see how, you know, Mercedes fares without DAS this year. So far, one could make the argument that Lewis's problems within the tight turns have been because of, you know, no DAS. So, you know, we'll see. And
I think we can agree that DOS clearly worked last year.
yes,
The
exactly.
if the Red Bull had had the DOS, I do not think we would have seen
There's
Mercedes.
no way. So outside of that, though, what stood out to me with Drive to Survive had to be the fact that they were calling the pink Mercedes. I'm like, listen, you know what? There was nothing illegal about it in my mind. It was a bunch of people that were just mad that they didn't think about it in the first place. I understand the frustration, but the fact that they came down on them and we're punishing them essentially for having this, like, oh, I mean, I don't know. I didn't see anything. Again, there was no proof that there was anything done illegally, and they came down on them. It seemed very whiny to me. But a bunch of teams just whining that they didn't think about it.
It's like Christian Horner said, there's little war games that go on throughout the season, and they're just trying to keep your mind off the ultimate goal, which is the race, and mess with you any way they can. And I think that was just a bunch of other team stewards going ahead and trying to screw with a team that clearly was on the up and up that year.
Yeah.
I just don't like Lawrence Stroll, so I'm gonna take the opposite side because fuck that guy.
I kind of, Lawrence Stroll kind of grew on me a little bit in this season.
No,
Lawrence,
I liked his public service announcement, like, don't fuck with us.
I'm Sergio.
Coming at
till
us.
the day
I kind
die.
of enjoyed that. Something a little different from Lawrence. Usually he's just that big, gigantic. He seems like the size of Hagrid sitting back there. And
I feel like a cartoon.
Never heard him say a word.
A cartoon Lawrence Stroll looks no different than a regular Lawrence Stroll, and it's both equally as terrifying.
Yeah, I picture him as a Simpson, honestly.
He doesn't look
100%.
Yeah.
Equally as sinister. I guess another big storyline that we go on to, Ferrari's lost pace. If you were someone who only watches the show and you watch season 1 and season 2 and were a Ferrari fan and then didn't watch last year at all and then watch this year, you would have no freaking clue what the hell happened to Ferrari.
No.
They stunk. I think it's probably what we'll see, and hopefully the next decade, as one of the biggest wastes of talent that I hope that we're going to see moving forward. Just because Charles, I think, is probably a top 3 driver, top 4 driver on the grid. And for them to stink that bad, I can only imagine how much of a kick in the dick that is for Charles, just because he committed to a team and he thought he was going to be driving for championships by this time. He's in his 3rd or 4th year coming up. So overall disappointing. And then to follow that up, Seb's obviously out of there, and I'm sure he's pretty happy with that decision.
Yeah, I feel the same way about the wasted talent, but I'm kind of leaning towards Seb, man. He was there for a long time, didn't accomplish anything. Ferrari's supposed to be number 1. Like, you think of Michael Schumacher, you think of world championships, you think of the longest race team constructor in Formula One. And I don't know, they did Seb dirty. They didn't really fit the car to him. And kind of the documentary, the first 2 seasons made Seb out to look like a grumpy old man. And I don't know. I kind of like the guy. I hope he does really well. And I hope he spanks fucking Lance. I hate that kid.
Yeah. No,
Him and his asshole dad.
I totally agree. I mean, we're talking about Ferrari. Like, we're not talking about Williams or Haas or something like that. I mean, this is like the name of Formula One. And Kel, I think you made a good point there, where it's like, if you watch the first 2 seasons and then miss last season from the actual race, you would never know that Ferrari absolutely shit the bed. And explain how, I don't know why, because again, it's not like the driver talent wasn't there. I mean, you got 4-time champion in Seb, and then, like you said, arguably a top 3 talent in Charles Leclerc. So, I mean, dude, I don't know.
It was clearly the fault of the engineering team. We're never going to act like we can get deep into the technicalities of things. We would probably have to bring on one of these British YouTubers who could really break it down for us. But there was clearly something dramatic that happened. I think during the show, they mentioned that something was outlawed over the off season that Ferrari was really using to get ahead on the straights. But whatever it is, it feels like it set them back 3 years. It feels like we won't see a competitive Ferrari car until maybe 2022, 2023. And I know that we all want that captain gone. Twitter wants him gone. There has been a crazy uproar. I don't keep track of F1 social media, but I do know that they hate that guy more
I
than
always
maybe
forget his
someone else.
name, and he needs to get out of there.
Binotto.
Benodi.
Yeah,
He looks
Binotto.
like the villain from Despicable Me. He's got to
Yeah.
go. How can that guy lead you to championships? He's just not gonna. So that's my take on
listen, I mean, the only thing I gotta say though is that Carlos and Leclerc looked pretty damn good, at least today. And I mean, even in practice when Ferrari showed up, I mean, it's looking like a faster car. Who knows? Maybe that green.
Yeah.
Maybe
The thing with Ferrari is it's also relative. Like when we say they're looking better, competing for third just isn't what we should be talking about when we're talking about a
Right.
Ferrari car. We should
No,
be
not
talking
at
about
all.
competing for
It's-
it should be them and Red Bull neck and neck right on Mercedes' ass every year. And the fact that right now we don't even know if they're going to be the fourth best car on the grid. We don't even know if they're going to be the fifth best car on the grid.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So I think the season did a pretty good job of highlighting their struggles. But any other things you're going to wrap up before we move on to kind of some more off-season storylines? Anything?
No, I think I'm just gonna say that I do think the pickup of Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc, I'm excited about that duo. I'm just to close it off on Ferrari. I'm excited.
We'll get a little bit more into that. Another thing from the show that was big to me, I think we saw from behind the scene Lando's kind of coming out party. He was damn good as a rookie, but I think last year he showed that he's probably going to be the number one at McLaren for the extended future here, as long as he
Years
sticks.
to come.
Years to
Oh
come.
yeah.
No doubt there. Killer Twitch stream too.
Yeah, he's fun. He's young. He's probably my second favorite guy out of all the drivers. So excited to see that. All right, moving on. We're going to go over some of the off-season stuff. Again, if you don't watch the show, this was probably one of the craziest off-seasons since the show has come out. Definitely the craziest off-season. So if you just turn on Bahrain on Sunday and you haven't kept up with anything, you would have no idea what's going on because there are so many driver movements going on. So many guys,
Brands of teams,
rebranding of teams, guys that you probably haven't even heard of. So we'll try and get you up to date. We'll try and do it quick. One of the biggest ones, obviously, we kind of touched on this. Seb to Aston Martin, formerly Racing Point. My big question for Seb, is he going to be fighting for top sixes or is he going to be fighting for top tens? I think that's a big distinction. I don't know if he's going to be someone that's going to be super competitive in the midfield. We'll have to see. If you got to expect that he's doing better than he was in the Ferrari last year, but who really knows?
Yeah, you really got to compare Seb's racing coming up in these early races to Sergio's because, I mean, he took his seat. They're both in new cars. They're both in fast cars. I mean, that Racing Point was fast as hell last year. It's just rebranded. Red Bull, they got a winning pursuing car this year. So, I mean, Sergio can deliver at a championship level. I think that makes Racing Point's move when they rebranded look like shit. I mean, they should have kept him. He outscored Lance. He came in fourth last year in constructors. I don't know. I'm a big Sergio guy through and through.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And I mean, for Seb, it's not Seb, freaking what's his name?
Sergio.
Yeah, no, I mean, dude, to be going, like you said, Hoove, dude, that was a fast car last year. I mean, the Racing Point, there's no need or no reason rather that we would be thinking, okay, it's all of a sudden going to slow down because the colors changed there.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a fast car competing for, especially towards the end of the year.
Proven.
Even Lance was, Lance was, like starting to come up there. So yeah, dude, I don't know. That's one of the cars I'm most excited to see this year, and one of the just really see how Aston Martin's able to perform. That'll be cool.
I mean, he has to outperform Lance. He has to outperform Lance. Like if you were looking at the lines in Vegas right now, I bet they are neck and neck. I bet you it's pretty much even on who's going to end up being higher.
It's very close because they don't know. I mean, it's so exciting to see what's going to happen here.
Yeah. You got to think that Seb's going to avoid some of the mistakes that Lance is going to make, but who knows? I think Seb's lost his touch a bit. I just don't expect him to be someone who's going to be consistently in that top of the fight for the midfield, but time will tell. Moving on, I guess we'll go on to Daniel Ricciardo. My favorite driver, my first love.
Yes, sir.
Survive.
Bring me to
All of
victory
ours.
in my fantasy team, Daniel.
I think it's safe to say Daniel upgraded.
Big
Not
time.
a huge upgrade. This isn't Daniel going back to Red Bull or Daniel going back to Mercedes. This isn't Daniel probably fighting for podiums every week, but I think this is Daniel consistent top 6 finishes. There's not going to be a lot of Daniel outside of the top 10 in that McLaren, especially if we've seen it so far. He's one of the best drivers on the grid. I think he shows that this year. It's going to be hard to compete with Lando, but I think Lando's way up there too. So I think in my eyes, it's going to be one of the best driver pairings we got.
Yeah, dude.
Agreed. I mean,
got that new Mercedes engine in there too. Things looking fast, both guys. And again, I mean, the driver talent alone, you got, again, you can arguably talk about Stroll as, a top 3, 4 guy if you put him in the right car, I mean, in terms of just driver talent. Sorry, not
You mean to say Stroll?
I meant to say Norris. I'm sorry, Lando.
oh, I was about to get really mad.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But
no, we won't go super.
So,
we already touched on him, but if Lando's the number 3 or 4 guy on the grid, then Daniel's 5 or 6. Like, they're right behind each other. I think this makes McLaren a sneaky, I don't want to say rival to Red Bull, but I think they could be there just because, unfortunately, I think Daniel and Lando could outperform Sergio in a lot of these races. And that might just help make up a little bit of ground. They're not going to touch Max. I think Max proven that if you put him in a Mercedes, he'd do what Lewis did. He'd win pretty much half the races. I just don't see them being able to keep up with him. But McLaren's going to be scary this year. I think it's going to be tough for Red Bull to fend them off unless Max is consistently winning races.
Yeah, I mean, they got a new power plant. They didn't necessarily have a car built around it, but it's a proven engine. So there's some issues there.
They were mentioning something about them hacking the diffusers today.
Yeah, so essentially they were so the car that they're driving isn't made for the Mercedes power unit. They can't develop a new car until 2022, like all the other teams. So they had to make it work, which, I mean, it kind of involved a lot of customization like that. And like they weren't showing it during testing because I don't want to get into legality, but who knows? It might be one of those little cut arounds that might be a little mid-season, early season complaint we see of other teams if they're super fast. So we'll see, man.
And I think our third race is 5 weeks from now. From what I heard, every single team will have copied whatever they did by then. So
agreed.
We'll see if this turns into a little drama storyline like what we saw with the protests last year. But I think it won't be too big of a deal.
I think just keep going.
Sergio to Red Bull. We kind of touched on it. If we weren't keeping up after the season, this was the most coveted seat by far. A very rare situation where Red Bull typically only brings up drivers through their junior program. They bring them up through F2. They put them on AlphaTauri. If you do well on AlphaTauri, they'll move you on up to Red Bull. I believe this is the first time that they've ever pulled someone that's outside of their driver program, especially someone who's, what is Sergio, 31, 32 years old? This is a guy. This is clearly This is clearly a move by Red Bull to try and take advantage of a 1 to 2 year window that they probably thinks is Sergio's prime and compete with Mercedes here with a driver who, has proven himself, especially over the past few years here, as someone that can get podiums, can consistently be in the top 6.
I mean, dude, and for going back to Drive to Survive, could you have a more Cinderella story for Sergio Perez at the end there?
No.
You know what I mean? Just
You
like
can't.
all of a sudden goes from last to first, wins, and then finds himself a seat. He didn't have a seat, man.
No.
I mean, it was, there was some confidence that someone was going to pick up Perez, but like,
it'd be silly not to. He was
so
fourth
excited
place
to see him land. That was awesome. I'm so excited to see him actually in a car that'll really compete.
So there's all this excitement around him now, but like now the question becomes, we're into the season. is Max just going to blow him away every race? Is he going to be a half second behind Max? Because I would hate to see that. I want to see him put Max. Max has been in that car for so long now. He's so comfortable in that car. He knows that car so well.
Yeah.
Can Sergio, after 4 or 5 races, kind of start to figure it out? We'll see. Unfortunately, I just don't see him being able to really push Max, and I think that makes it kind of tough to Red Bull to really compete with Mercedes.
Yeah, I mean, you look and you probably think Daniel's probably been the best matchup with Max. He had Pierre for a little bit. That didn't work out. He had Albon. Albon didn't work out. I mean, he's definitely, besides Lewis, the hardest person to be teammates with. They probably design a lot around Max, like for the car setup. So it's not an easy seat, but I think Sergio's a veteran. So if he can prove it, I think he is legit. But if he can't, I don't know. I don't see him having a seat too much longer. He is on the older side. We'll see. Just not on Red Bull, I'd say. Maybe somewhere else.
I mean, if you're comparing the 2 top teams in Red Bull and Mercedes and you're looking at the teams themselves, yeah, I mean, you got Lewis up there on a mountain peak of his own, I mean, unless, there's always the argument of, oh, if you were to give Max that seat, what would he be doing in that car? But, for the way that it's, just history's played out, these 2 teams in terms of driver talent to me are pretty damn close. I mean, you put Checo and Bottas, obviously in their own thing, and then it's Max and Lewis. But I don't know, man. I think it's going to be an exciting battle for those 2 all season, those 2 teams.
Yeah.
I kind of like Bottas.
Oh, man. If you don't like is it Bottas or Bottas?
Bottas.
I don't know. Bottas.
I don't know. Whatever
Bottas.
it is, man. If you don't like Bottas after season 3 of Drive to Survive, you're crazy.
Oh, yeah.
This is a special organ.
To whom it may concern, fuck you. That was the sickest thing ever.
Dude.
He's the man.
That was amazing. To whom it may concern, fuck you. Like,
Fuck
best line ever.
All right.
We felt that all season last year watching that. So you can't help but think of this like Cal, Ricky, Bobby type situation going on between the 2 of them. And it's like, you know what? All right, let's go.
Shake and bake.
I win. Shake and bake.
All right. One more big team, and then, some midfield moves, but we'll burn right through those. Carlos Sainz for Ferrari. This, for me, was really satisfying. It's awesome to finally see Carlos with a team that he's really going to get the recognition he deserves. Another guy who outperforms probably what the car should allow him to do on a season-to-season basis. He's earned that seat. He's in his prime. He's got the perfect amount of experience. Let's just hope that Ferrari can, deliver for him and give him a car that's going to actually make him be competitive. Time will only tell on that.
Yeah,
he's fast, man. I like Carlos. I mean, his dad's a world rally champion. Obviously, he was born early and bred to do this shit. He understands racing. It's in his blood. The dude just kills it. I mean, I think obviously Lando's the guy over at McLaren, but Carlos outscored him last year. Carlos helped them become 3rd in the constructors. Carlos helped build that car to what it is for Daniel. I mean, he's a fast dude. Can't discredit that man. So I'm excited. I hope he's super competitive. I want to see him in that top 4, top 5 battle.
And it definitely was not a pretty split for Carlos, going over to Ferrari. I mean, again, that was another thing highlighted in the season. It's like, I mean, he's going to the rival, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm so psyched for Sainz. It's not even funny, dude. I mean, it's hard not to like that guy. And again, like you said, he's always fast. It seems like he's outperforming the performance of the cars. So, it'll be cool to see if they can really put a car behind him that'll actually, put him in the position to win, man. I think he's going to wow us as well this season for sure.
I agree.
Yep, for sure. All right. My favorite rookie, I think probably the guy that's got the most buzz going into the season, the young Yuki Tsunoda, the youngest driver on the grid. I'm pretty sure the first driver to be born in this century. I think he was born in 2001. We're going to see a lot more.
Is that a fact? Is that real?
I'm pretty sure. Sure.
Whoa.
I don't know if you guys saw him in testing today, but he had a little fire. He had a little trap.
That's a veteran move.
He was a little pissed off, man.
That's
I
a
loved
veteran
it.
move. Yeah.
I loved it.
That was in P1. So This kid's fast, guys. He's going to be in Red
Yeah.
Bull.
I mean, he was what F2
year.
driver of the year last year,
Yeah.
I think.
No,
Yeah.
he's quick, man.
I mean, he's the prodigy. You know, he'll be right up there with Lando. He'll be right up there with Charles. He'll be right up there with Max within probably 3 years. You know, I think he's going to be a guy to watch. You're going to hear a lot more about the name. He's going to be quick in that AlphaTauri this year. Is he going to be faster than Pierre? Is he going to be faster than Pierre? We'll see. I think if he is faster than Pierre, then there's no doubt that Red Bull has to pull him up next year. I feel bad for Sergio, but the kid just might be undeniable. He just might be that good.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, I like honestly my angle on that is I like how it's going to push Pierre. He had his Players Tribune article last week come out about how he didn't like how Red Bull handled him getting switched that weekend of Antoine's death. Like he just has that flame in him ever since he won. And like I know testing and practice is practice, but that kid looked fast today. So I don't know. I'm rooting for Pierre. He hasn't had the easiest time as of late. He was in a really good car that wasn't really built for him. So I don't know. I hope he looks fast, and obviously you can't deny Yuki's talent, but I hope it pushes them because, fuck man, AlphaTauri, they're a competitor. They could be 5-6 this year.
Dude, that I have AlphaTauri as like one of my top 3 teams that I'm most excited to see what happens. Oh, yeah. You know, just like there's so much curiosity and hype around this kid, Yuki, but then you know, again, Pierre, it's like. We saw right after that he got kicked off Red Bull, man. There was this fuse that was lit in him. Like, I'm not going to go out like this. You know, my F1 career, I got a little bit of fight in me. And I mean, all year he drove his ass off last season. So, you know, again, didn't quite pull anything off besides that one in Italy. But, you know, man, it'll be cool to see. I mean, Yuki obviously is just lightning fast. So, you know, I think that what that's going to do for Pierre, like you said, Hoof, is just going to be very interesting to see. Because he's got a chip on his shoulder, man. Don't doubt it. Pierre Gasly's coming for blood.
Yeah.
All right, let's burn through some quick ones. Fernando Alonso to Renault, now rebranded as Alpine.
Boo! Dude. He needs to move over and just let a youngin in, man. He's taking up a spot.
He said today in an interview that he's better than Verstappen, he's better than Hamilton, and he's better than Vettel. And
I'm so over it, man.
Yeah. Dude stinks. Get him out of here.
We'll move on.
Ocon, Wrexham. Yep.
Haas going with a 2 rookie driver lineup, which I don't think has actually ever happened. I think I heard that. This is the first time ever.
Yeah.
And in a car where you need someone who knows engineering well and can give you the feedback about the car, I think this is an absolute disaster. Schumacher, from what I've seen, it takes him a while to pick up some steam. So the first 10 races is probably going to be abysmal. This Mazepin kick they kicked off, they sign him. A week later, he has a video come out doing a little boop to a booby. Not a good situation. Social media goes crazy, wants to cancel him, doesn't want him to be on the grid at all next year. Overall, just a shit show for Haas. It's not going to be a good year. No. I'll be surprised if they're still here next year. It sounds like they're already looking forward to 2022. I think they need to focus on getting through 2021.
Dude, Gene's resilience for failure is just fascinating to me. Like, it's just like he's just still putting money into this. It's crazy. I mean, I'm curious your guys' thoughts on the reasons that they were hiring these rookies. You know, I mean, obviously we saw it's pretty clear that there's a name here.
Nick Schumacher's German.
I mean, it's for investment money, you know? It's like, that's really what it is. And I mean, okay, sure, you got the names, but they're not, I mean, they're rookies.
They're gonna
It's just going to be fascinating to see if one of these kids can actually get Haas to where they need to be. And I don't think the car is there.
Gunther already said he doesn't expect a single result this year.
Yeah, he came out with that quote a couple of days ago. He was like, yeah, we don't expect anything.
They're building next year's car now. They're this year's chalked.
Weren't they building next year's car 2 years ago and they're still building next year's car? I mean, it's like,
they needed more money from the Russian billionaire and from the German company that requested a German driver.
They're a bunch of fucking wankers.
We're going to finish up with the off-season moves. The only teams to keep the same driver is Williams and Alfa Romeo. Another one. if you're a casual fan, you're not going to get too into these two teams. There's just not much going on. It looks like Alpha's a little bit quicker than they would last year, but how many points finishes are either of these teams going to have? If I had to guess between the two of them, I don't think they earn 10 throughout the whole season. These teams stink. They're going to continue to stink. What else can I say?
I just want Kimmy to be the gatekeeper of the points. I want everybody to have to race the grumpy old man to get into the points every week.
Such a miserable bastard. Dude.
Yeah, so I'm excited to hear him on his comms every weekend.
Yes.
Because they're already lights out.
Oh, they're the best freakouts ever.
Yeah.
All right, we got 3 minutes left. So we'll skip post testing and pre Ryan, still Ryan. We'll just hop right into predictions.
I got a hot gambling pick that I'm about to deliver. I took it earlier.
Let's make sure we squeeze that in. But underdog, biggest surprise of the year. Who do you think we got? Biggest driver surprise of the year.
I think Lando, because he's used to that car. He knows the feeling and he looks fast as hell. So I think he's going to get the edge on Daniel. And I think that car, once they figure it out in 5 races with that Mercedes power plant, it's going to move. So I'm saying Lando, underdog of the year.
I like it.
Underdog of the year. Interesting. I'm going to say I had a hot prediction for something specific, but it'll tie right in. I'm going to go Pierre Gasly. Because I think we see him on at least 2 podiums this year, if not 3.
I love that.
So I think Pierre Gasly, seriously. I mean, listen. You've seen that kid in his off season, the way he's been ripping it, working out, dude. He's coming for it. So I'm excited. Pierre Gasly, at least 2, if not 3 or 4 plus podiums.
I'm gonna keep rolling with my gut, guys. I'm gonna roll with Yuki. I think Yuki's going to make it tough for Fear to get on the podium because Yuki's going to be right there with him. So we'll see. We'll see on that one. Another one I wanted to do, fight for the 3rd driver. Who do we think? We know 1 and 2. We know it's Lewis and Max. Who's going to be the 3rd? Is it going to be Bottas? Is it going to be Lando? I don't think it's going to be Sergio. I think we'll probably all have the same answer. Are similar. I think there's probably 2 names that you can really boil it down to.
Yeah.
This might go into also the underdog. I think Lando's gonna be 3rd. I think Lando outperform Bottas this year and shock the world.
Lando or Carlos. That's what I think. I'm going bold too.
Okay. We like bold.
I don't see how it's not Bottas, dude. I don't know. I mean, I personally I'm right. I'm gonna ride with Bottas now, and I'll be the guy to keep it safe. I don't know. I mean, it's just until we're able to see really. It's all crapshoot, man. Until we can see how this Mercedes performs here. I mean, they had some troubles, so we'll see. But if they can figure that out, man, I don't see why Bottas and Hamilton are not on the podium most weekends. We'll see.
All right. In the obvious ones, we'll go drivers' champion and constructors' champion. I hate doing this, guys. It's gonna be insane.
It's gonna be Mercedes.
It's gonna be Mercedes.
And he's gonna ride off into sunset. He's gonna win his 8th, and he's gonna be done. He's gonna retire because they changed the rules against him because he ruled the hybrid era. Every single year of the hybrid era, he won. So
yeah. I mean, it's obviously Max is coming for him. I'll tell you what, man, I got my number 33 flag waving every single weekend, man. I'm big on Max this season. I mean, I think it's a lot tighter than people think. Max will be definitely right there with them. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But Lewis is definitely the safe choice.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we're running tight on time. Let's hear that gambling pick. I might have something up my sleeve, but let's toss it over to you.
Hot gambling pick of the week. I'm taking Valtteri Bottas to win plus 900. Easy money.
900, he says.
Plus 900. Something happens in quals that looks a little funky to Max or Lewis. Who knows? Even if Valtteri starts in 2nd, that dude is quick around that first corner. He was struggling today. I think they figure it out for tomorrow. I'm saying Valtteri. If Mercedes is taking it home, I'm going with Bottas.
I'm gonna pull this out of my butt here. I'm gonna go Kimi Räikkönen top 6 finish.
Whoa.
Love that pick.
Those Alphas looked faster than the Alpine and the Aston Martin today. That
Yeah.
puts him in the top 10.
Well,
So
they
if
have
he
the,
can put
they
that
have the new
pace,
Ferrari.
yeah, we'll see. I think other teams will catch up to them throughout the season, and other teams might be a little bit better, have a more budget to innovate and improve the cars throughout the season. But I think starting off, we might see Kimi make a little bit of a push to
I like
be
that.
kind of towards the end of the midfield, not be one of those
Mhm.
terrible teams. So,
I like that.
but I think that's it. Moving forward, guys, we're going to keep these a little tighter. We wanted to get through all the preseason, off-season stuff. Wanted to wrap up Survive. We're going to try and just give you guys the 3 to 5 things that are kind of going on from a race basis. So, I know you guys don't necessarily want to consume an hour, 2 hours of F1 content. Come to us before a race, get 10 to 15 minutes, get geared up, have a feeling like you know what's going on, and then enjoy the race on Sunday. Go out of your way to watch these things. Don't just focus on Mercedes and Red Bull. Watch for that battle in the midfield. It's super intriguing. You'll get sucked in. It didn't take us too long, so you'll love it.
It's race weekend, baby. Let's go.
Wrap it up.
Cheers.
Let's go.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Ooh, you can end it.
Word.